Hi there, and welcome to my pick a card reading. My name is Crystal.a.proffitt, and I really wanted to provide the public with some pick a card readings that they can view while at home, because I know this time, with the coronavirus being such a huge reason to stay indoors, people are probably looking more towards, going online and looking at things to help with guidance and messages. So I thought, what a better way than to provide a pick a card reading. Unfortunately, it does not have to do with the coronavirus. It's going to have more to do with your personal experience at this time. What I specifically asked was, what messages do I need to know for the next 2 weeks ahead? This is going to pertain to your personal experience, work, love, and family and home. So the important thing to note is not all messages are going to resonate. So the rule of thumb is take what applies and leave the rest. There's also a couple of other things I wanted to talk about. Some of the words kind of have multiple meanings. For example, love does not, exclusively relate to romance. It can be also about the love for a creative project or a passion project or a pet or a relative or a friend. Abundance is like that as well. Abundance can come in the form, yes, of material gain and money, but it can also be about abundance, about the blessings around you and the gifts and love and charity. Then there's also birth. So sometimes birth will come up and you can be literally pregnant or literally are going to, conceive and have a baby, but it can also be about birthing a new idea. And then the same with death. I know death can be a really, really scary thing with tarot, but death actually is more about the ending of something and the beginning of something else. So I'm going to go ahead and start in on this. I do want to explain for those of you who actually don't know me. I mean, this is going on YouTube. This isn't just going to be exclusively my community. I hope this reaches more people. But I tend to lean more towards karmic energy readings because I can access the Akashic records. So it's important to know that not all tarot readers are the same. It's just like being a human. We're all created differently, and we all can gain our gifts and our abilities in different ways. They manifest in different ways. So the psychic abilities are different here for me. And I'm going to actually show you an example of that because with each of these groups, I also did a quick channeled message, which I'll go into as I go into each individual group. So I want you to go ahead, take a moment and look at the groups. It's going to start with group 1, group 2, and group 3. You might be attracted more to the brooch that I placed for each of the groups, or you might be attracted to the stone or crystal that is for each of these individual groups. So just take a moment. I'm going to allow for 60 seconds so you can just take a couple of deep breaths in and out. Cast your gaze. Maybe you need to close your eyes and then see which group really appeals to you, and we'll begin the readings. Hi, group one. So this is your choice for group one. We have the beautiful elephant pendant or brooch. I was really drawn to this one in particular for this group because I had already chosen the stone, and for some reason I was drawn to the sort of like wisdom that the elephant brings. So if you chose this group, that is one of the messages that I was feeling at the time. And the stone is actually a unpolished form of tiger's eye. So just as, you know, a sort of message for a lot of people, you do have to be careful when you have an unpolished stone or crystal because they can actually contain asbestos. So, and that was really big for me. I worked for a company in Oakland where they kind of did a lot of asbestos cases for court reporting company, I should say. So it's kind of a big deal. Once you're done handling an unpolished stone, you should definitely make sure that you wash your hands afterwards. I'm constantly washing my hands just naturally because of the coronavirus. So, but about tiger's eye, I did want to explain. Usually, the stones and crystals have so many powers and capabilities, but some of them for the tiger's eye is that they help release fear and anxiety, and they aid in harmony and balance. They also can help with action. So if you are, you know, concerned about your next action towards something, you can look to a tiger's eye to help you moving forward. So I'm going to set that aside and we're going to begin the reading here. So I have a lot of different cards, and I think what I'll do is start with I almost forgot. What I'll really actually start with are my channeled messages. So for group one, my drawing is not the best. It's a riptide. So what you're going to see here is that I saw specifically a yellow flower. And it's funny because I did draw the card first, the color yellow first, and I thought, oh, that is what's going to draw me to the stone and the elephant. But I didn't realize it was also going to be shown a yellow flower. And usually when I see things like that, I tend to think, so either you're going to be connected specifically to yellow flowers yourself, maybe you're noticing them more lately, like you're drawn to them. But it can also have to do with a chakra that needs your attention. So usually yellow is for your solar plexus, and that kind of lives in your belly center. And usually with the solar plexus, it has more to do with like your confidence in the world. So you are being called to kind of look at that and how you can help build up your self-confidence. So if you chose group one, there's that message. And then the other message I received was the riptide. So I specifically saw the image of this wave. And again, I'm so sorry that drawing that is not me. I don't know who did that. But basically with the riptide, what I was thinking at first was how beautiful it looked. The colors were these blues and purples, very similar to like the colors of this lovely, you know, cloth that I have. And I was really drawn to the aspects of being like at this edge here and kind of seeing it. I wasn't inside of it. I wasn't being swallowed by it. I was observing it. And one thing that I had learned is when I pulled up riptide on Google, it actually has a lot to do with awakenings. So if you personally are experiencing, I'll put that, I think, down here, and we'll just kind of, maybe here for now, and we'll kind of come back to that. So if you're experiencing an awakening at this time, this is a confirmation of that for group one. Okay, she's going to be fine right there. So then the next message I think I'll go into is the spirit animal, which in this group was the lizard. which is so amazing. I mean, the colors that I'm specifically drawn to, again, are the yellow here, and then also the red. It is more of a pinky red if you need to see that a little closer. The lizard is the energy of fire. That is the symbol for fire. So what you're going to want to focus on is your actions towards something. So maybe you're feeling a bit of a delay in your actions. If you're not, and maybe you are just concerned more about what kind of action to take towards something. Usually that's what, you know, these like fire energy is about. There's also more symbolism for the lizard, and I definitely recommend that you look up the meaning for like a lizard spirit animal online. And then I think the next thing I'm going to pull are the karma cards. And with these cards in particular, they're a set of 3. So they're going to go planets, signs, and then houses. And then the way that these work is you just kind of read the messages across them. So for the planet, we have moon, which is the moon usually rules Cancer. So just so you know, and if you're not, so if you are a Cancer, that is confirming that for you. But then also if you are specifically just associating, you know, your energy with the moon, know that that's also confirmation. And then the planet actually for this group is Sagittarius. So again, if you are a Sagittarius, this is confirming that this is, you know, the right group for you. And then the final message, the house for this set of cards is the 9th house. And actually for the 9th house, it's so funny because Sagittarius rules the 9th house. And the way that these work, like I was mentioning, is you just kind of read them across to get the message. And I'll just read them to you because I'm having a hard time bringing images to the camera. So the way that it reads is there's going to be a spiritual. The first line is spiritual and how you can apply it to yourself spiritually. And the middle line is mental, how you can mentally exercise the message. And then the physical, so like action, or like if, you know, basically the kinds of physical actions you can be taking. And what we have for spiritual is the nurturing of insights to understand spiritual values. So nurturing insights to understand spiritual values. And then we have the mental line says, feelings caused by the wisdom of long-range thinking or travel. So maybe you actually need to take some time to travel, or even if it's short distance. I know now is not the best time to travel. Maybe you've been feeling that you need to visit a location in specific to kind of gain some spiritual wisdom. So this is confirming that message for you. And then lastly, the physical is reactions resulting from the understanding of what is to be shared. Reactions resulting from the understanding of what is to be shared. So those are the messages for the karma cards in the blue aspect. And for that one, for blue, the meaning is kind of like an outcome that you can expect if you follow the wisdom of these cards. The red is going to be action because, like I said, red kind of has more to do with fire energy, which usually is an active sort of element. So what we'll do is reverse these and read the message on the action side. What we have is for this spiritual line, Defend your highest ideals as if it or they came from all there is. So defend your highest ideals as if it or they came from all there is. It's a very powerful message in my opinion. And then we have the mental line, which is accept the rules of the philosophies and laws involved. Accept the rules of the philosophies and laws involved. And then we have the physical line. Let your feelings tell you how to get it out to the world and do it in a big way. Let your feelings tell you how to get it out to the world and do it in a big way. I'm just going to say I really relate to that last one, hence the YouTube video. So kind of cool. So I think the next part is going to be the oracle cards. And with these oracle messages, they are not inverted. They are only read upright. And some of them actually have a lot to do kind of with the traditional tarot cards. So some of them can relate to minor arcana and major arcana. So we'll see what comes up. The first card we have is Firm Foundation. God, again, we have the triangle, the fire sign. I mean, this is, I can't make this up. This is incredible. I mean, to me, it's showing, you know, this really strong, firm belief, kind of having like the mountain, being very strong and rooted in something. And then we have, this actually is master number 3 and rejoice in celebration. This reminds me a lot of the 3 of Cups in the minor arcana. So usually this has a lot to do with taking the time to enjoy even the small victories in your life. So sometimes we work so hard at things and we can be really hard on ourselves, and we forget to just kind of accept and embrace the achievements that we've already, you know, come to complete. As small as they are to you, just know to somebody else, those are really big achievements, especially Spirit. Spirit is very much like, look at where you are, how much you've accomplished, and celebrate that. You know, invite your friends out. Allow them to tell you, you know, that what you should be proud of, and allow their perception to really help you right now. Then we have Prosperity Begins, which is a master number 1, which is huge. It's just kind of like, to me, it reminds me of the Ace of Pentacles, because pentacles usually have to do with the earth. And to me, it's like material gain. And, you know, with the symbolism here, kind of like the fruits of your labor. So it's talking a lot about how, like, maybe it's like the ace of something, like the beginning of something, you know, prosperity begins. And with the money, you know, financial gain, it's maybe referring to this for group 1, which is really, really lovely. So maybe you're starting something new, or maybe you're just starting to see like maybe with the seed, the image of the seed at the bottom here, maybe you're starting to see the plants kind of grow from the seeds that you planted. And then we have the throat chakra, which is surprising because I was drawn to the fact that there was yellow. But, you know, usually most of us, we have a couple of chakras we gotta go deal with. So the blue chakra is known as the throat chakra. It lives exactly where the name of this is mentioning, in the throat. And usually this is having to do with speaking your truth. So maybe you're having a hard time identifying with your truth, and then 2, speaking on it. So this is about kind of like speaking up for yourself and what you believe in, and allowing that to really manifest in your throat chakra and speaking that out. And we have the final card is emotional loss. So this one is a number 5, which usually has to do with the type of change that's coming up. So we have this person who's holding his hands on his heart. So it looks like this kind of change that's occurring, with this symbol of this sort of like, it kind of reminds me of like math, and that I can't remember now the name for that specific type of mathematical structure, but it's kind of reminding me of like a cosmic change coming from the stars. I'm also seeing the stars in the bottom corner on this card. I just think it's really important to understand that sometimes change is important for your personal growth and expansion, as challenging and as difficult as it can be to experience and deal with. So you might have already experienced this in your life, and maybe you're already going through the fact that you are starting a new journey, or it's talking about maybe it's going to come. So, whoever, this is a group reading, so this could be multiple situations happening at one time. But I do want you to make sure that you understand that it's important for you to be really firm in your foundation here, in your foundation for your new beginnings. Because it sounds like what's happening is on the right track, kind of like it's a death process or tower moment, it seems, where something really wasn't serving you and kind of needed to be let go, it seems. And then I'm being drawn to this thought of like, you might be having anxiety about this. There might be some fear, because it's like whatever you lost, whenever this change was or is going to happen, it sounds like, it's what's causing sort of like, he looks kind of like anxious, like the eyes are, the facial expressions are really, I'm really drawn to them. It reminds me of somebody who's like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? And that really reminds me of anxiety, and trying to find harmony and balance within yourself in order to keep going. And I think that calling your friends up is going to be really important here. So, sometimes you kind of just need to have a glass of wine with your buddies. And sometimes you just need to hear them go, no, honey, you don't need him anymore, or whatever the situation is. Like, that's just an example of what you could be going through. This can have anything to do with work. This could have to do with an emotional situation. I am being more drawn, however, to maybe more of a work or career situation. So group one, I'd love to hear your opinion. Not your opinion, I'm sorry. I'd love to hear your comments about this. What's happening, in your life, in your situation. Feel free to share. I'd love to hear your message, and how this is connecting to you. I think the next thing I'll draw are these romance cards. We'll see what is happening in this situation for you. First one is new love. So remember when I was saying love, it could be a romantic situation, but it could be a creative endeavor or a new project or something you're passionate about. Maybe you're going to get a new pet. Maybe there's going to be a soulmate or like a new friend, or something's going to come in. So a new person has stirred. The message says a new person has stirred your romantic feelings, but to me, love can be so many different things. So there we have, the emotional loss, and we're gonna come into something new. It's like the whole idea of like when one door closes, another one opens. And then we have getting to know each other. So if this is a romantic situation, you're being called to really harness your throat chakra, speaking your truth, talking about yourself in a way that really, shows your innermost self to somebody else. You know, when you're going to have a new experience with somebody, it's important to be your true authentic self and to express yourself that way. You know, avoid wearing a false mask, that what you think that they want you to hear. The deepest relationships come when you're being honest and true. And then finally we have a wedding. So if this is not about a romantic situation, I just want to make sure everyone who chose group 1 is really involved here. Weddings can also symbolize a commitment of some kind. So if this isn't romantic, this could be talking about there being a situation where you have some kind of contract maybe, or like a commitment to this personal project or creative endeavor, or whatever is coming up for you. If this is a romantic situation, just know that if you follow the messages of this reading, you are bringing in this situation for yourself. This is something you can believe in. Really cool. Then finally, I love these cards. They're upside down. These are the angels and ancestors cards. So these are going to represent the spirit guides and energy of those guides that are with you now and helping you and guiding you and providing messages for you. So I'm going to go through these. First one is the Druid. Hold the space. So the Druid is this older looking wise one. And if you can see at the top, he has a kind of like a clear quartz at the top of his staff. This one, I believe the Druid is, I think it's Aboriginal or of that kind of older traditional wise one of a group. However, I'm not 100% sure. I'm saying that because I'm really drawn to like the feathers and the fur that are attached to the staff that this person's holding. But the most important aspect, I believe, of this card is, again, this like firm foundation. So it's talking about your inner wisdom, you know, and believing in that, and holding the space for this inner wisdom that you have within you to really help you guide you through these situations that you're going through. So kind of seeing it from a wise perspective, seeing that, you know, yes, there might be this mountain ahead which you have to climb and get over and get through, but you have it within you. You know, this person is standing very strong. The wisdom of the Druid can be harnessed in this way by believing that the ending that you're experiencing was built on false pretenses, on false ground, and it crumbled beneath you. That way something that is more stable can come in for you. Then we have the Hunter. So this one actually came up recently when I did a group reading for a few of my friends. And some of the messages that I remembered from this one is that the Hunter, I believe it has more to do with Greek mythology. And I don't remember the name. I think it was something like Synonous or something like that, but it has to do with kind of like the ram symbolism. So there's also a ram on the top of the bow and arrow. This is the Hunter. This is somebody who is known to be a warrior, to take action and go after the things that he wants. But the message for this card is talking about you kind of having fears. Like the only thing stopping you are your own internal fears. You have the power within you to keep pushing forward and strive for what you want. And the only thing getting in your way are the fears. So think about that. Hunt your fears down and kill them. And finally, oh, wow. So the stargazer it's so cool to see that, because the stargazer is when you, remember when you were a child and you believed in wishing on a star, and you have these dreams for yourself. Well, this is calling you to do that again. And this is a reminder that you actually, whatever your wish is for yourself, there's something better for you coming in. It's a confirmation of this experience that you're having, I believe, with this, with the emotional loss and the new love coming in. Whatever this is for you, group one, I believe that, the guardians of the sky, the universe, God, our spirits, angels, they're telling you that keep wishing, keep having positive thoughts, and keep putting that out there. But they have something bigger in store for you. This card says set your sights higher, because it's always like when you tell yourself, oh, I want a new car, but then something will happen where you end up getting like this amazing, car that you never ever thought that you would ever dream of. It's even better than the one you had in mind. You were thinking of like a steady Honda Civic that'll get you from A to B or something, and this is like that message of, well, this universe is going to provide you with something even bigger than what you had thought, because it's what you deserve. It really truly is. So when you are wishing, just realize, don't be too controlling when it comes to the outcome of the situation. Kind of allow whatever the universe has in store for you to come in. I mean, it couldn't be more true with the storyline of this. Like, you have this emotional loss, and then something new wants to come in, but this is a promise of a commitment of just more than just, oh, we're together, or, oh, this is kind of like my job, on a day-to-day, it's fine, whatever pays the bills. I mean, this is going to be something more for you. So I hope you enjoyed this reading. That's all the message I have for you today. If you did like this video, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Let me know if this resonates. At this time, I am providing personal readings, so I will provide all the information in the bio and the comments below, so you can reach out to me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hey, group 2, welcome to your reading. So first things first, I have to admit something about this reading. In particular, I was really drawn to the green crystal here, and it's funny because originally I had chosen the bee for this, and maybe I should include it as well, because something tells me there's probably a message about this as well. But I then changed it because I started receiving, oops, wrong group. I started receiving images relative to kind of like a dragonfly. So going into that, I want to talk about the channeled messages that I had done before I started this. So for group 2, I saw a blue and green dragonfly. So like I mentioned, I first had chosen the bee, and when I did the channeled message, I saw the green and blue dragonfly, and I thought, oh, I have a dragonfly little pendant, and I pulled it out, and it's green and blue as well. So maybe I'm just pulling that from memory, but I thought, how cool, it's exactly what I was seeing. So I think I'll just leave out only the dragonfly for this one. And then I also saw the color green, which is important for this group, because I believe that right now you are being drawn to the energies of green for your heart chakra. So there's that. And then also usually green has to do with money. So we'll talk about that, and I'll talk about the crystal in a moment. And then I apologize if you cannot tell what this is, but I'll explain in a moment. I just kind of squiggled and drew something. I don't know who did that. So we have here an image of foamy waves. What I was seeing in my channeled messages, specifically the foam, when the waves are coming in, they're calmer. I was trying to draw something that looked like a calm wave rolling in and out. It's kind of hard to do that when you have a black pen and whatever, excuses. But what was really important about the foamy waves to me is the message that I found online where it's foam kind of talks about ridding yourself of impurities. There's an aspect to this that's spiritual and emotional cleansing. So there's also the message about lightheartedness. So don't take the simple things in life for granted. So that's the message, the channeled message that I got over here for group 2. I'm gonna do something like this, like a tilty thingy. Then we have the green appetite. I think that's how you say it. Appetit. So we have the green appetite, and this is about manifesting abundance. It also stimulates the flow of energy on a physical plane. So it helps to experience true feelings of abundance. And remember in the beginning, I talked about abundance not just being material gain and money. This could be love, you know, it could be charity. It could be like gifts or blessings. So we're going to talk, I believe this is the direction we're going in for group 3 here with the greens and the blues and the dragonflies. But we'll put that here on the side and we will go into the reading. I'm going to start with the spirit animal that came up for this group, which is so cool. It's the firefly, which is an air sign, or sorry, the air element, because of the flight. And I thought, how cool is that? And the connection with the dragonfly and with the firefly, it's really cool because I believe I remember it talking about your inner light and how pure and amazing that is. You see how the firefly is just, I mean, surrounded by darkness, and yet it still lights up, and it's even guided by its own light. You know, that's kind of how they live and work. They just rely on their own inner light. So I believe that's one of your messages for this week going forward, which is really cool. And then the next thing that we have are the karma cards. So the way that the karma cards work, if you also were part of group 1, you know, then you can skip this part, but I'm going to explain. The karma cards have 3 sort of messages: a spiritual, mental, and physical message, and you kind of read them across. And they also have like writing for each of them in the order of planets, signs, and houses. So, and these can also be confirmation for you as the person watching. So for example, the first one is planets. So the planet is Pluto, and I believe Pluto is the ruler of, what is Pluto? Virgo? Pluto is the one that is not very common, and it's because it's so beyond powerful that usually it doesn't actually have a specific sign that it's like secured to, but it can. Oh, you know what I think it was? I think it was Pisces. Okay, skip that for now, but then we have the sign. So if you are a Cancer, this is confirming that this is the right group for you. So Cancer, and then the house is the 2nd house, which is ruled by Taurus, but the message seems to want to line up with this group. So here's how it will go. There are 2 sides. There's the red message, which is about action, and there's the blue message, which is about outcome. Excuse me. So I'll read them for the action side and then the outcome side. So for your action, what we have is the spirit line, which is saying, resurrect your feelings patiently. Resurrect your feelings patiently. Then we have the mental, which is get to the heart of attitudes from the past about what you want. Get to the heart of attitudes from the past about what you want. And then the physical, relative to action. So physical, oh my goodness, do or die. You must use your intuition and get what you need. Wow. It's really intense energy here, but like I said, Pluto is super intense. Do or die. Do or die, you must. Very funny. So do or die, you must. Use your intuition and get what you need. That's the action. Flip them over to get the outcome. So if you basically it's saying, if you follow the messages, here is a possible outcome. The spiritual side says the need for control of intuition to protect your beliefs. The need for control of intuition to protect your beliefs. It's kind of intense. And then we have the mental, which is an obsession with attitudes from the past about what you value. Wow. This could have a lot to do with your beliefs and your values about money, because the second house is ruled by a Taurus who, like, the main aspect of that kind of house ruling is to really understand your values and beliefs about abundance and what that looks like. Is it a healthy aspect that you have with money and your value to that? So I feel like that's what you're being drawn to kind of look into, group 2. Then we have the physical aspect of an outcome. So this will be a power struggle resulting from the history of your resources. Interesting. So the physical could potentially turn out this way. So a power struggle resulting from the history of your resources. So you might, that might be one of the messages happening here, but let's get a little more info. What we'll do is we'll pull from these oracle cards. This group in particular had 4, and these ones can sometimes pull from the traditional sense of the tarot. So it could possibly be major arcana and minor arcana. Could also have a message about a chakra, but we'll see what comes up. The first card is financial and material changes. Wow, I was just talking about that. I was just talking about how I'm really being drawn to the aspect of money and abundance and what that looks like. And also the number for this card is 5, which is about change. There might be something here that needs to change with regards to your values and beliefs towards money. I don't know. You could also be going through a situation where you are, because this kind of reminds me of different like routes or directions you can take, like different roads. And so it's making me think of like maybe you're having to look at the type of maybe career choice, and if that's a healthy way of gaining abundance for you. And like what that looks like. Maybe you're looking into this, but let me know. Oh, then we have truth. Holy moly. That is so intense. This seems to me like somebody who's looking out into the universe for ultimate truth. It's so interesting to see this card because I've actually never seen this one in particular before. The other thing I'm noticing about this card is there seems to be kind of like that, like, I'm not sure what to call it. It reminds me of the symbol for Libra, where it kind of has the scales, the scale to balance. So we have one here and the other one is over there. So to me, it's talking about balance in this aspect of the truth of a situation or a matter. Maybe you need to balance your kind of like career life. Maybe there has been a need or want for a change in this kind of aspect. Maybe you're noticing that it would be healthier for you if there was maybe less of a push to have this big material financial gain, and maybe you would rather be more connected spiritually. Maybe you want to just spend more time with loved ones and your family, the people who really matter to you. Let's see. Let's find some more. Let's get some more messages. We have patience. Oh my God. So this is another card I have not seen before ever come up. So to me, I'm basing a lot of my aspects here with intuition. I mean, I have to, because I've never seen these ones before. And what I'm really drawn to is this headdress, because this one actually has what looks like the different phases of the moon on this person's it reminds me of an Aztec kind of crown that someone would wear. And to me, symbolically, it's kind of looking like, so maybe this is the plant or something, life sprouting from a seed from this person's hand. So the energy of this person, maybe the base is, I want to start investing my energy into this idea, this aspect, the seed, and allow that to grow. And this person having all of the phases of the moon above their head or their mental space is telling me that they're going to allow, the wisdom of the moon and emotional aspects of the moon to really be a priority, because the moon is above the mind or the head. So to me, that's what this image is kind of showing me, which is really cool. And I don't know why, but this kind of looks like a little foamy. Oh, I don't know. Probably not, but really cool. The final message for this deck is moving on, which is really cool to see, because I feel like you're going to choose this for yourself. Time is, to me, it's really relative. So I can't necessarily tell you an exact time frame for when you're going to decide to take action in this way. But what's really cool about this symbolism is this person is walking away from the darkness and into the light. And the light seems to have the plant, maybe the plant from before. Who knows? Maybe these are the leaves falling into the image of this last final card. It's really cool to see that. Okay, group 2, go ahead. Then I think what we'll do is move into the romance cards. First card is soulmate. Maybe you're going to come into a new soulmate, or maybe you have one in your life that you would like to dedicate more time with. Soulmates can come in many forms. I don't want you to be really stuck on the idea that soulmate has to be romantic. Soulmate could even be a pet. Your soulmate could be your child. Your soulmate could be your best friend. Your soulmate could be your sister, your brother. So take a look at what this relationship is. Think about what this is. And maybe you're being called to pay more attention to this aspect. There's deception. So someone's wearing a false mask. So somebody, either you or the person you're dealing with, is maybe afraid to show what's really underneath, what they're really going through. In this image, there's a little angel kind of trying to gently coax this person, convince them to remove their mask. The thing is like, you can see that there are others who are wearing a mask as well. So it's kind of like, sometimes we do this because we think this is how we have to be in society. We tell ourselves that we have to behave in a very specific way in order to be accepted and fit in. But you're being kind of called to look at that, to look at like maybe where you are being deceptive, or maybe where somebody that you're involved with is being deceptive. So start to look into that. Maybe that's the truth that's going to come out. Maybe that's what the truth is about. Usually with these kinds of situations, you have to have patience, because with the patience card here, it's also talking about the truth always reveals itself. It's just a matter of time. Just be patient with that. And consider where you are wearing a false mask, or you're deceiving yourself and believing something to be true when it's not. Like, maybe you are the first narrative that I had in mind, where this person was had maybe a not so healthy relationship with money, and so you're being called to look at how you can balance that aspect. You know what I'm saying? So maybe this is your deception, or maybe in particular there's a relationship. Maybe there's some, I feel like I'm getting a message specifically for one person, maybe one or two people, where like a soulmate is really here in your circle, but you can't tell because either you or they are wearing a mask. So think about that. And then we have love yourself first. Yes, I am working on this myself. This is so huge. It's so important, and it's so key when you're moving forward in any aspect of your life. I mean, this is about everything: love, career, family. You can't love someone else until you love yourself first. And the message on this card specifically is saying your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. I mean, so not only does this affect every other aspect of you, you know, and who you are, but it can really bring in the right partner, the right kind of soulmate person. So if you are deceiving yourself and not telling yourself that you deserve to have a more balanced life, to go in a different direction and make the changes that you need that fit you and your heart and your soul, like, think about how you can maybe creatively go about that situation. Another thing I wanted to mention about loving yourself first, usually when I think of this card, I'm drawn to your heart chakra. So I know that that is kind of one other aspect of green in particular, but also it could be, with the message being about self-respect, it made me think about the solar plexus, which was kind of brought out with the firefly card. So maybe you need to do something to help build your self-confidence and your self-respect. So maybe you need to take maybe for your career, if this pertains to career, a speech course, maybe you would like to be a better public speaker, or maybe you want to do something like, one of my suggestions for people usually when they need to enhance their solar plexus is maybe take martial arts. That's one of my favorite ways of building my inner, self and confidence. And I usually feel like I love myself so much more, when I take care of my body. I'm respecting it as a special vessel. So consider those aspects that you can do: dance class, yoga, anything. Then we have our final set of cards, which are the angels and ancestors. So this can be spirit energy that's around you, helping you, guiding you, or it could just solely be about the messages that are on these cards that are important for you to hear right now. The first one is Father Sky. Wow. So this one, as you can see, it kind of looks a lot like the Greek mythology pertaining to Zeus, and that's because it is. With this card in particular, though, they like to take a lot of their messages from Native American tradition. And with Native Americans, they had their own aspect of a god, and then it was like Western, religion. I believe it's kind of like Western culture that really took on the Greek mythology and took over symbolisms and messages here. So we have God, a form of God, or Father Sky, or Zeus. So basically, I'm trying to tell you that you have like the Father Sky aspect really helping you and assisting you. And it's also another really important message is the eagle. So trust in the unknown. The thing about the eagle is the eagles can see from a higher perspective. And I can't get this image out of my head where this person is looking into the sky or the universe for wisdom, for truth, to balance, right? So I just think you're being called to trust in divine Father Sky wisdom and knowledge here, which is really cool. Then we have the sage. The sage, I believe, is like Middle Eastern or Indian culture. And what's really cool about this image is I'm being drawn to this peacock feather that I love a lot. And I know that meant a lot in this particular culture for them. And so I would advise you to kind of look into, like, maybe look online and see the meaning of the spirit animal peacock and see what that message will bring to you. And one of the best messages, I should say, that come from the sage is that you really, when you decide to make a change or go in a specific direction, I really want you to think about how committed and devoted you will be towards that. So when you decide on this path, whatever you're moving on to, you're being called to really be committed and devoted to this. Whatever this is, if it's love, if it's a career move, if it's maybe you're just moving to a new location, whatever change is coming your way, whatever type of truth that you're going to be coming into, you're being called to not only be patient and rely on your inner wisdom and guidance, but be devoted and committed to this, because this will be the best thing for you. Then we have the final message, which is the wise one. Now, the wise one is known in the Native American culture, and this one, the wise one, is a crone. So a crone can sometimes be known as, like, I mean, I don't really use this word or label anymore, but they can be a witch, but usually they're more of like a shaman, a shaman type. But a crone is a better word because of the fact that there literally is a raven or a crone in the image, which is usually about like spiritual wisdom and meaning and knowledge. And it's all about growth within your current situation. So I think that one of the things that you are really being drawn to look into is the symbolism as well with this white owl. I think that there's a lot of wisdom and knowledge with owls as much, and it's another air sort of animal. So you have not only the wisdom of an eagle, right? So the higher perspective and sight of an eagle, but you also have the wisdom and higher perspective of the owl and a crone. There's a lot of flight, animals of air and flight in group 2. So look into that. Look into the wisdom and messages for eagle and owl. You can look up white owl if you would like, but it's either way, really. And then I'm drawn to the moon. I really am. I'm really being drawn to, I believe that's more of a waxing moon of sorts, but there's so much wisdom with the moon. And what's interesting about this card is it's kind of like nicely placed over the owl. And to me, whenever you have like a moon shape over someone's like head, it's talking about like the wisdom of the feminine divine over like the logical mind. And like feminine divine has a lot more to do with intuition and inner wisdom and guidance and creativity, as opposed to like the logical mind, because sometimes your logic, like your mental thinking and mind, can be so stuck in the 3D world, and you can forget where truth really lives, which is just higher above. So that's all I have for group 2. I really hope you like this message. If you did, please subscribe, like, and comment, and let me know if this resonated. Which parts? Did all of it resonate? Were you drawn to this for a specific reason? Let me know. Also, I am currently doing personal readings, so I will provide all of my information and links to my website, email in the description box, and probably I will pin the first comment below. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Hi, group 3. Welcome to your reading. So I'm sorry if you notice that the framing is a little different from the beginning. My phone is very low energy. I had to plug it in, so that meant a new location for the camera. Cute. So maybe this is convenient because maybe you're drawn to the candle that's now in frame. I believe in candle magic, and my spirit guides in particular are welcomed into my space when I light a candle. So let's just, make this a positive thing. So group 3, so maybe you were drawn to this group for one of these aspects here. So I pulled the peacock for this group, and that is because, actually here, let me give you a moment to look at the little peacock brooch or pendant that I have. I was drawn to the peacock because this specific crystal is a peacock ore or stone. It was given to me by a very beautiful friend of mine. Her name is Sheena, and she gave this to me for my birthday, and I just thought it's so gorgeous. I was really drawn to this today for this reading. As you can see, when the light hits the stone, you're seeing so many shades, some gold, bronzy colors, but then there's purples and blues. So a little about the peacock stone. It is the strongest healing stone. It is the chakra stone. It cleanses and balances and aligns all of your chakras. So maybe group 3, you need a little help. So I'm gonna let that sit by a clear quartz. And then I'm going to go into the channeled messages that I saw. So for each of the groups, I did channeled message before the reading began, before I see the cards. And I was drawn to, I specifically drew a picture. I don't know what you're going to think of that. You're going to be like a chocolate half donut. I don't know what you're going to think, but I did my best to kind of draw in this right corner what I saw. One of the first things I noticed was the symbol of a pearl. The pearl showed up so strong in group 3, and then after that, I was drawn to this image. Each group had an image of being by the water in some kind of way. Either it was a wave or like a riptide or the foam from the water. Yours in particular were the caves. When I was a kid, we grew up in by Pacifica when I was in high school, and one of the places I loved to visit was the beach as a kid. And I also remember that there used to be rock formations, and there are caves also here in the peninsula, and then also in San Francisco by the ocean. And so one of the things that I was seeing in my channeled message reminded me of that, where you actually, I was starting inside the cave and I was coming through the cave. So this is kind of my example of coming through and seeing the waves on the other side, and there being like tough waves. So it kind of, the things that I wrote were coming through, and then I wrote the whole kind of like birthing, like maybe you're coming into a new situation, you know, maybe you're going to come into something that's brand new for you, maybe a little scary, maybe you can already sense the challenges ahead. But there's also the fact that I was seeing very rough, kind of tough waves when you went through the tunnel. So to me, some of the other things that I was writing were kind of, maybe you have a sense that you need to ride through these waves. And then I also wrote, and not the best handwriting, sorry, the wisdom through experience. So you might be the kind of person that understands that you need to ride through the tough waves. You know, maybe you are the type of person that kind of just needs to go through the hurdles of things. And then there's also protection, attract luck and wealth, and the faith and charity. This has to do with a pearl. I'm sorry, I should have said that. So the pearl is all about protection and attracting luck and wealth, faith and charity. So the pearl, and then like I was mentioning, the waves that were basically in the clearing after you went through your tunnel. So, okay, I'm gonna put that here. And now we'll go into your messages. The first one I always do is the spirit animal, which in this case is the fish. That's so, to me, fitting, because it's, well, water, the tides are controlled by the moon, you know, so this could be confirming, you know, maybe you're Pisces, maybe you chose group 3. So this could be confirming that for you, but also this is the symbol for water. So with the fish, you know, fish are known to kind of go with the flow. So maybe you're being called to do that right now. There's wisdom in that. There's wisdom in, like I said, riding the tough waves. It's so funny. Like, I didn't know how fitting this was going to be until it just kind of started to happen. So I'm being called to that for this first aspect. And then the next set of cards are known as the karma cards. Karma cards have specific sentences. It's a little poetic sounding, so, but you'll see what resonates and what doesn't. And they come in the aspects of first planets, signs, and houses, and usually there's a connection in here somewhere. So we'll see what the connection is. And then there are two sides. So there's going to be a blue side and there's a red side, and they both have messages on both sides. Blue has to do with the outcome if you follow the messages, and red has to do with the action to take. We'll go ahead and pull them over to see what we've got. The planet here is Venus. So Venus is known to rule Taurus. I believe it also rules Libra. So this is confirming if you are either one of those signs. This is confirmation for you. Then we have Pisces. Bruh. Okay. Awesome. Freaking out a little bit. Okay. Looks like we're going to start with the red messages, which are the action messages. And then the house is the first house, which is interesting because the first house is ruled by Aries, but it looks like there are specific messages here for y'all. Let's read them now. So there are 3 lines each way. So the first is spiritual, second is mental, and third is physical. So what you can be doing in your physical aspects. So for, again, this is the red side, your actions to take. Cherish your dreams immediately. Wow. So maybe you have dreams or aspirations, or maybe it's literal. Maybe you literally are having some pretty vivid, active dreams. Who knows? Let me know in the comments. Then the mental aspect for the action, again, is enjoy your idealization of the way you project yourself. Enjoy your idealization of the way you project yourself. Then with the physical, it's charm, art, and beauty are the way to be a part of something overwhelming and do it on your own. It's so funny because it's like that is, this last physical aspect card is relative to each of the different elements. So for example, Venus is about art, beauty, and charm, and Pisces usually their kind of goal in life is to kind of go through things that are overwhelming. And then with the first house being kind of like you, the symbol of you, so like doing it on your own. It's so funny. Like Aries, it rules the first house, and Aries is all about kind of like, I'm gonna do this on my own, like they have to. So it's really funny because it's like the message together really relates, you know, to each individual aspect. So whoever this is, you know, meant for, you're being called to really pull on all of these elements and these messages here. Then the reversal, which is the blue, which is the outcome. The messages are the attraction of spirituality to ultimately experience who you are. Wow, the attraction of spirituality to ultimately experience who you are. Then we have the mental line, which is pleasure from trusting your psychic knowledge of your desires. Wow. It reminds me of that other message. Wow. So pleasure from trusting your psychic knowledge of your desires. Because of the dreams, it reminded me of the dreams. Okay, and then the physical line, which is good times resulting from the indecision of or about your actions. Good times resulting from the indecision of or about your actions. So maybe this has to do with the fact that, you know how some people are really controlling with the outcome? So maybe if you are kind of like indecisive about something and you just kind of allow it to ride through, then maybe there's going to be something positive that will come from it. You know, like not having that controlled outcome. Who knows? Then I think we'll go into the oracle cards. So these oracle cards, they sometimes resemble the tarot because they will have minor or major arcana cards, like they'll resemble them. They can also have chakra colors as well. So let's see what comes up. First one is obstacles and challenges. I really love this card because this card has all of these orbs, and orbs to me represent the guides and angels and your ancestors and everybody who agreed to help you be successful in this world. They're all here. They are all literally at every aspect of the way, helping you, guiding you, directing you. And even if you see that there's an obstacle in the way, you're being called to continue to move forward and you're being supported by them. This is also with the master number 5, which has to do with change. So maybe there are some challenges that you're facing when it comes to change in your life that's kind of being required right now. Either way, just know that you're not alone. You're being held, you're being supported, you're being guided. Oh, then we do have a chakra, which is the third eye chakra, which is amazing because so remember the chakra stone of the peacock? So when all of your chakras are aligned, then that is when your higher chakras really can come through and be enhanced. You can also be experiencing some spiritual activity right now. I think you this group in particular might be being called to really step up to the spiritual plate now. Really look into this. And then, sorry, before I continue moving forward, the other aspect about the third eye chakra has more to do with, they call it the third eye because you can see the earthly realm with your two, eyes, your regular eyes, and the third eye is basically seeing without seeing. So it has to rely heavily on your intuition, which, excuse me, as you can see in this image, the moon is really the one that kind of helps with intuition here. The moon usually relates to divine feminine energy, which has to do with intuition and spirituality. So I really think you're being called to recognize this aspect of yourself. Then we have stand your ground. So whatever you're going through, whatever challenges or obstacles, you're being called to really believe in yourself. Really focus on that intuition. I feel like you know that you're making the right decisions, or you know what the right decision is. And even if you have the naysayers that come into, play at any point in time, like, you're being called to really own your personal perspective and truth of this situation. Stand your ground. Lots of purple. Fam. I shuffled. You were the third group. Your cards were drawn last. Lots of purple. You're really being called to work on that third eye chakra. So accelerated motion. Wow. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how, sorry, I suddenly kicked my stand from my camera, my bad. So, you're really being called to recognize that you are being helped and guided forward here. I mean, this is divinely guided forward and moving forward. To me, the stars play such a huge aspect in my personal psychic abilities and experience. So whenever I see that kind of being called out in somebody else's reading, it really speaks to me. Oh my God, I just saw something else. I also saw 5, 6, 7, 8. It's almost like to me, it's like saying every step of the way, 5, 6, 7, 8, you are making the right steps and you're being guided. These steps are in the order. I was just reading this book by Sylvia Brown. You might have seen it on my Instagram page, where it was talking about, she talks about how before we come to Earth, we kind of map out our life and our choices and like what we're going to experience in detail. We do this. That's why we experience deja vu, because it's like almost a confirmation of the choice that we had made before we came here. And it was like confirming for you that, like, yes, you are on the right path. So when I see these cards show up like this and this sequence of numbers, it's like really trippy, and I'm really like, I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about it. Like, if you are questioning this at all, you're being guided to believe this is right and true for you. Stand your ground. Another purple card. Master number 2, the waiting game. With the waiting game, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, well, when is this gonna come in for me? Why hasn't this happened yet? What's going on? You're really being called to kind of trust and believe. Divine timing is playing a huge part in this right now. So sometimes you can manifest whatever you want. You really can. Like, you are the master manifester of your own life. But sometimes if you do wait and you're patient and you allow for divine timing, an experience that's even better than what you thought could come in for you. So don't be afraid when there are lulls and there are moments like this when you have to kind of sit and you don't really experience this like tremendous jolt forward. Sometimes life is calling you to wait. And during this time, maybe work on gratitude. Bring in more positive abundance and blessings. You know, gratitude journal can be really great while you're playing the waiting game. So then I'll move this here, and the next aspect will be romance cards. So let's see what our romance angels have in store for you. The first one is calling in your soulmate. To me, a soulmate is kind of like a term that's used for a lot of different things. So you could be, and remember, this is a general reading, so this is going to be for multiple people. So you could be literally calling in a romantic soulmate. You could be calling in a soulmate like a best friend to come in. You could be calling in a pet. Maybe you are desiring, like, you know, just a friend that you can talk to, somebody who you can really dive deep and trust. But if you have been praying about this, your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you together. So this is probably what the waiting game is all about. But you are manifesting what you want. It's just, if you know, like maybe like I was mentioning before, you might be a little frustrated that it hasn't come into fruition yet. But like I said, divine timing. I mean, I'm telling you guys, it's really hard, but you're being called to really trust, because when you do, like, this is when the good comes. Give your relationship a chance. Work on your partnership. So if this is for somebody, maybe other folks in this group who maybe you're feeling a little disconnected from their partner, this is a confirmation that you two are like soulmates, and you guys just really need to work on connecting with each other. You know, work on it. Maybe you need some counseling, guidance of some kind. You know, we've got a lot of angel wings here, kind of being guided to connect on a more divine level. So maybe your soulmate is this person that you need to give a chance to. So if you already have your soulmate in the picture and you're calling in your soulmate to come back into this place where you both are embracing each other, maybe that's the situation for this aspect or this group. Then we have unrequited love, all in the same group. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what unrequited love is, it's when one person loves the other far more and usually the other is kind of aloof about it or not really into it that much. So there might not be enough chemistry to keep this relationship going. So if this is the same group of the Give Your Relationship a Chance group, and you just decide, maybe you go through the motions, maybe you just decide, oh, it's just not even right now, and you might be guided somewhere else. But it's important that you try, you know, like you never want to just give up completely on something, especially if your heart feels this way. If you have been trying, then maybe it's time to kind of, you know, look at a creative way to handle that situation. Maybe a new soulmate wants to come in. You know, maybe you realize that you're kind of hung up on this imbalanced relationship and you want something else. So let's see. Let me know, you know, your particular situation. You know, with these, there's so many storylines here. It could be anything, really. So let me know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, how this can relate to you, group 3. Finally, we have our Angels and Ancestors cards. So these ones usually have to do with the angels and spirit guides that are around you and assisting you. Some of them are Native American traditional aspects, and some of them are not. So we'll take a look and see what these messages are. Wow, first one, Air Guardian. So we have the element of air, and it's all about shifting your perception. And usually with air, it has to do with, I'm seeing a lot of wings. So angels, and a lot of these different situations. Orbs too have to do more with the air element and aspects, as opposed to maybe like a water or earth. And so for this one with the air guardian, shift your perception. So usually when you have like a bird, they can see a situation from a different perspective. So maybe you're being called to do this for yourself. Maybe you are frustrated because there might be delays or something that's not happening for you. And, maybe you're just kind of waiting for the other shoe to fall, or maybe you're waiting for a situation to change or something. But you're being called to maybe look at the situation in a different light. If maybe you're having anxieties or fears, or maybe you're worried about something, focus on gaining a different perspective. And then you have, oh my God, the eagle. I mean, that could not match this energy more perfectly. It's literally see from a higher perspective. I wish I would have just up and said eagle straight out from the gate, because usually the eagle is what represents seeing from a higher perspective, like a bird in the sky. It's usually an eagle. So this is really, really cool that it's coming through for this group as well. Also, there are symbols. You probably can't see it from my phone, but this is known as a Merkaba, and Merkabas usually are a symbol for angels. So again, we're talking about divinely guided angels being by your side, helping you, assisting you. Then we also have, the eye, which has a lot to do with seeing from a different perspective. And it's one eye, this could literally be talking about the third eye perspective. So think about that. And then another thing I want to point out is this kind of circle with the arrows kind of coming down from underneath it usually reminds me of a dream catcher. So, and I remember that we had talked about dreams earlier. So one of the things I wanted to bring up for group 3 is you could possibly be having personal experiences through your dreams. So maybe think about jotting them down, really paying closer attention. Usually, there are a lot of messages for you. Dreams are very, very tricky though, so it's really hard to interpret them. They could be so many different things. You could be visiting people on the other side. You could be having an astral visit, like astrally projecting yourself. You could be having a release dream. Maybe you're like, you really need to release something, or there's something that you're going through, you're struggling with. You could be having wish dreams. There could be so many different things. I encourage you to start writing them down. One, because it'll help you remember them. And then 2, after that, you can start to analyze them. And over time, you can see maybe patterns and sequences. So that could be one way to gain perspective, by focusing on dreams instead of whatever else you're focusing on. And then the spirit fox is the final, wow, trust your talents in changing times. So the thing about the fox is that we have to remember that they're incredibly spiritual animals to the native, culture, but they are used to being hunted as much as they are, so they're survivalists, but they're also beautiful spiritual creatures. And they're just amazing in real life when you look at them and you experience them in their natural state. So what it's talking about when it says trust your talents in changing times, the fox is really good at adapting to those situations because they understand, where they are, like in the food chain. So it's important for you as you're going through your challenging times. Like, you specifically are going through your own experiences, personal experiences, to gain skills and to be talented in different areas and to apply that. When you're going through your obstacles and challenges, that's why I'm trying to stress that it's divinely guided, because you didn't just go through what you've been going through for no reason at all. So that's why you're being called maybe to look at things from a different perspective. So even if you've experienced a kind of loss or change or challenge, you're really being called to look at what you've gone through, the skills you learned, the knowledge, the wisdom you've learned, so you can apply it. That's why the looking from a higher perspective. When you're seeing something from a higher perspective, you're not like in the middle of it where it's cloudy and fuzzy and you're distracted. So that's all the messages that I have for you. I really hope you enjoyed this group 3. If you did, please feel free to like, subscribe, and please comment, what resonated, what didn't. Let me know. I am providing personal readings at this time. There are going to be links below in the description box. I'll just include as much information as I can, and I hope to see you next time.